following message is being transmitted at the request of the Boundless PodTrap movie review and the guys of the BPT. What you are about to hear contains spoilers to movies. If you don't want to hear these spoilers, please disengage your listening device at this time. If you can't handle those with a possible differing view on a movie, you may also want to disengage your listening device at this time. Stay tuned for a movie review that only the guys at the Boundless PodTrap can give you.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to episode 017 of the Movie Review Podcast.
17, we're almost annoyingly legal.
I don't even understand how we're at 17 already.
If it's sequential, it goes up in increments of one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Plus the FDA
Thank
doesn't
you for clearing
check
that up.
any podcast that has a viewership less than 17 viewers.
Yeah.
Or listeners, whatever.
We're getting past the rating system or whatever.
If it wasn't for our viewers in Sudan, we wouldn't make it.
Do we still have our one listener over in, where was it, Justin?
In Africa?
Yeah, was that where it was at?
I am not allowed to disclose the whereabouts for the safety of the viewer.
Okay.
Listener.
But viewer.
But before we get into the funny and the awesome movie we're about to take part in with a very special guest, I do have to send my condolences to the Hall family. Scott Hall, if you're not knowledgeable who Scott Hall is, he passed away a couple days ago. This is recorded a month before you've probably heard it. But unfortunately, Scott Hall passed away. I don't know for Justin, but big influence on me and Jeremy's life growing up.
You mean Razor Ramon?
Yes.
No, the real one.
The bad guy.
I used to watch him do a little boom, boom, boom on the...
What people don't understand is him and Kevin Nash single-handedly changed the business of professional wrestling.
They did. The NWO.
Well, not just that, is they were the first ones to go up and say, this contract isn't good enough, make it better.
Right.
So they made it a legitimate, not legitimate sport, but a sport that is still risky and made it compensatable.
Well, like I had kind of put in a post the other day, if it wasn't for him and Shawn Michaels' ladder match at WrestleMania 10, I don't know that I would still be a wrestling fan, because they did some innovative things with a ladder that nobody had really done before that. Right. And that definitely inspired people like the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian and all of them. So yeah, definitely sad. And it's one of those things too, where, I mean, you know, he had a troubled past with alcohol and whatnot, but he was getting healthy again, doing the DDP yoga and all that stuff. And it just goes to show you, he went in for hip surgery, had complications, had 3 heart attacks from it, and was on life support and sadly passed away. So it's another reason why you should always tell your loved ones that you love them every time you leave them.
Wrestling is one really cool form of entertainment, but movies is the topic of tonight. Boom. And tonight we have an awesome, what do you want to call, advantage, experience?
Gift.
Yeah, a gift.
This is kind of intimidating, having the movie we're reviewing, the director, writer is here. So all 10s across the board.
Right. Right up there with Alpha.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Borum. I'm the director of a couple of movies, and I'm super excited to be here today and chat with you guys about this one.
Just a couple.
Yeah, just...
How many do you have? How many writer-director credits do you have to your name?
It's like 11 movies or whatever on...
I was asking our guest. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I like to do that.
I bet she knows better than you.
Honestly, here's the crazy thing is sometimes I'm just like, I can tell you this. I have 3 features that I wrote or co-wrote and directed, and then a handful of short films and 2 web series, and yeah.
She's like, that's all.
Yeah.
Good. So, Dorothy, what movie are we going to be reviewing tonight?
So tonight we're going to be reviewing my last film, 2017's Corruptor.
Nice.
Oh, right.
Nice.
First time.
I ruined that. My fault. You won't hear any of it, though. So, this was, I think, I have seen this one before, and I don't remember if I saw the whole thing, but it was at a festival.
Yeah, it screened at Prairie Lights.
Gotcha. And
which year was that? Was it the 2000?
They usually have multiple theaters, too, so...
Prairie Lights just had the one theater, because that's the one in Grand Island. right? And they would always do it at the Grange.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like we got to screen it there maybe 2 years before the last one, you know?
I don't think I was at that one because, yeah, I had wondered if I had seen this movie because, like, watching clips, I was like, I feel like I have seen it, but...
Yeah, I don't remember the
watching,
ending of it until I watched it here, but I feel like I might have caught the beginning of it because I feel like I remember that opening, some of the actors, you know, interacting with each other.
Yes, the opening was very, like, I feel like I've seen this before.
Well, usually we're going to start off and give ratings before we actually delve into the meat and potatoes. Do you want to? You kick it around. How do you want to
rate your own
film?
I've given this so much thought, you guys, like you have no idea. Clearly, I should just be like 10. Are you kidding me? But also, like, I have a hyper awareness of the flaws of this film, and they're pretty awesome. So I'm going to be like 7. Change my mind.
Oh.
All right. I'll throw mine out there.
Go ahead.
To counteract her 7. So my 2 favorite genres of horror currently, this rotates quite often, but my 2 favorite genres of horror are found footage, I'm that guy, and haunting and possession films. And possession films go in one of 2 ways. They either go where you focus primarily on the antagonist, I guess it would be the pro and the antagonist, where your focus is 100% on them, what they're doing, how they're reacting, what they're doing, how they progress into madness. Or there's the second view of possession movies where the possession is happening, but you're more focused on the family or the external elements. I think Corruptor was a beautiful melody of both those put together. I think it had a great focus on Anna and the priests and his grandparents showing caring, and you're seeing the impact on them. But yet in the same tone, you get to watch his descent into madness. You get to see him all the stages of guilt and acceptance and fear into the full possession where he's full on batshit crazy. So as a fan of this genre, I give it a solid 8, 8.5. I'll say 8.5.
8.5?
8.5.
Boom, right on.
Okay. Well, I will go next. So vampire movies are like my least favorite horror movie. Possession type movies are under that. Only because The Exorcist scarred me as a child. That is the only movie that scared me. And so
shouldn't that be a good thing though?
I think it's more.
It made you feel something.
It made me feel something. So it's just like my mind won't let me watch a lot of possession movies because it's like there's something that's scarred.
You're like,
But like Lonnie said, this one was done very well. A lot I have seen are like found footage ones, and like I'm not a fan of a lot of found footage movies, but this one was different. It's weird reviewing a movie with people I know, people that I work with. So it's just like, you know, a lot of times I don't know if that took me out of it. Because like, especially with Megan Garcia, I've known her for a long time, and I've seen her from when she was young and innocent, and now she's like into all these crazy things. But no, the story was good. I liked there was a lot of visual effects type things with this. That was being a filmmaker, knowing how it was filmed and edited. I know the process of it. So it's like kudos to that. It turned out very well. So I just realized what you wrote on the board. So I am going to give this one a 7.5 only because The Exorcist scarred it for me.
I guess that's my turn. So
that's how this works.
This is true.
Round the horn, buddy. Round the horn.
No, it was a very enjoyable movie. Again, echoing what Jeremy said, the special effects of certain things like I really love how you utilize like the glitch effect, and like it wasn't campy or hokey where like somebody is just bleeding with no cut in the shirt or you know, gunshots and then somebody reacting after the fact type thing. Not that was involved in, but
and that's something I want to get into when we get into grilling about the movie. Me and Justin have a keen ability to overthink things very much. So I'm excited to get inside your brain a little bit and have you turn everything we say down that we're wrong.
She's gonna be like, nope, that's stupid. No.
No.
But yeah, there's a bit of acting issues here and there, which being in filmmaking and stuff, and it sucks when you have, I don't know if it was like, oh, that was the best shot that worked here or something. It's like they going back after the fact to try to get something after somebody's appearances or something have changed. I don't know how long it took you in the process as far as putting everything together, the availability of all the actors, etc. And I hate that too. It's like when I watch things that I'm in or have been on set with, it's like, I know we had a better shot. That they did it so much better, but I guess something didn't work. But there was a few of those. So, but I probably have to match your rating at 7.
Oh, and I do have to thank you for casting me and an amalgamation of me and Morgan from Smoke Break with that priest. Like if you put us together, we're the priest with glasses.
You're talking about Chad?
Oh, yeah, the guy with the Scottish accent?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Chad.
Nice. That gives a BPT rating of 7.5.
See, I called it.
Right. So we didn't really discuss what the movie is about. The Internet Movie Database says depraved, perverted, wicked, racked with guilt over the death of a younger brother and struggling with his ultra-religious family, Tyler Iske is easy to pray for the darkness called Corruptor. I would imagine that you have pretty much the exact.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I probably wrote that.
Okay. Yeah. Like, well, what would you put it? Like, there's many times when we read off an Internet Movie Database description. It's like that. There's so much more than that, you know. But yeah, I mean, that
Keeping
does
it
it
short.
justice. So
Short and sweet.
So I want to start off by asking, how long did it take you from writing process to filming to a post-production to complete this film?
So here's an interesting thing about Corruptor. Now, it was the last film that we did, and one of my huge goals for it was to make the production process and the post-production process happen more quickly than everything else. And keep in mind, that's because Wake the Witch, which was my first film, it came out in 2008, and we probably shot it in 2006. That was like a 2-year, we probably shot for almost 6 months on weekends to get that done. So that's that. After that was Blood Rights. Blood Rights was a fairly quick-ish shoot, comparatively speaking, but we probably shot for, 30 days. And the post-production process on that was fucking 2 years because we were determined to get a surround sound mix, and it took forever to find someone that could do that for us. Okay. So I had been working with filmmaker Dustin Ferguson. Dustin was from Lincoln. Now he lives in California. And Dustin's filming style, Jeremy and I worked together on a couple of things that Dustin did. And Dustin's like, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Dustin will fucking shoot a feature in like 5 hours.
he'll have something done by the end of this podcast.
Correct. No, that's 100% true. And I had worked with him enough and was just like, fucking, how can we do this? Now, I'll try not to go so deep. The point is that how long did this one take? I was determined that we were going to do like max 3 takes, nothing further. And that we were just going to roll fucking through it. And we did. I bet this shoot was almost half of what a typical feature was for us. Call it 16 days, which for us was amazing. And then the post-production process was under a year. But, we wanted to take a little extra time because we had it scored. And you know how that is. It just takes longer because you want that rich creative process to kind of bubble up in the post.
Like if you don't have that, just any sort of like background frequency or something that's there to give the film space, right? Like it kind of falls flat. There's been a few that I've done where it's like something's missing. It's not grabbing.
And I was going to say that the music definitely drove this film too. It was very powerful, I felt.
Yeah, it set the atmosphere really well and kind of into a question I had with that tone. So one thing you brought up is the glitches in the movie when it was kind of evident that the entity was making its presence known. The way I interpret that, and this is one of those please shut me down, most possession movies, you're hearing sounds, so it's like a mental takeover before it's a physical takeover. When I seen the glitching and hearing the buzz, it made me think more of the brain. So like the synapses changing and the brain reforming, which I thought was a beautiful take on what it's more like than having just like, oh, someone's in my head. No, your body has to change to be changed. So if that was intentional, I absolutely adored that. If it wasn't, it was absolutely great. But just that and that tone, or it would be kind of ambient, and then all of a sudden there'd be a high hiss or
Something that drives
dull.
you. Yeah.
Sound design is so fucking key. Like I can't even stand how key it is. Most of that is Chad. Chad is like an amazing talent. He just has an instinct for having a sense of what it should be like. As the director, I went into it thinking a lot about the classic symbols of possession, and a lot of them are like flies buzzing, you know what I mean? And those ideas of like your reality changing, what does that sound like? And so Chad was the one, he obviously incorporated the buzz, but he picked out some of those higher pitched, like that weird frequency, like if you have tinnitus or whatever, and it's like,
you just get
like
clocked in the head.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm pleased that worked out on a lot of different levels, because even though like with the priests, it's very underscored that what's happening is real, there is also a sense of like, is he just making himself crazy? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's leading a very stressful life.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on with the change and with his family's kind of almost seems like exile of his new life. And I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but
that's
what this is
give the
for.
warning at the beginning.
Okay, but with the situation between him and Anna about getting married, is that the right narrative?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. That was a big deal for me when I wrote it, because I felt like her turning him down made a lot of sense. And you can tell like in the writing that I really wanted her to have a reason. Like there's a whole lot of talking about like what it was. There was more that we left on the cutting room floor about it. But yeah, you're right. He was under a lot of stress, trying to do the right thing, trying to fit everything in the box, and it just wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the character of Tyler Iskey was very important. What made you go with the Mike Crawford as the actor for that?
At that time in Lincoln, I was over cattle call auditions. You know, I didn't feel like that the turnout was that great, first of all, and that, I don't know, it's hard to explain. You guys probably have a sense of it. There are people that you like working with, and once you've worked with them, you're like, I really want to work with this person again. And probably at that time, there were only 2 actors that I knew in Lincoln that I felt like would bring a reality to that. Because like Justin said before we started recording, or maybe we were, it doesn't matter. The point is that talent is hard to come by in the Midwest to put in front of the camera. And when you find someone, you're like, I got to grab a hold of this person. I'm going to make you a star, kid, or whatever you could promise them.
Yeah.
Right.
It really came down to Mike and Brandon Ayler. And Brandon Ayler was the actor that played the brother that had been killed. And Brandon was going through some stuff, and he just could not be there for it. And I had to talk Mike into being in that. He was like, I don't really know if I want to. And at the end of it, playing a role that dark, he was like, I took that home with me. I bet it took him a month to get Tyler Iskey out of his system.
Right. Just the desolation on his face in some of the scenes. It's like, wow, like he's a broken man right now. Like something's coming over him. So that's something I found really awesome. The opening scene, I mean, the only time you see Skylar Craig in that, she did an amazing job with like a little voodoo witchy ceremony. And then knowing what you're getting into with just that alone, with sound design and all that coming up, and that's is supposed to be implicating like it's in the basement of the house that they're living in. That was one of the things I called out, is that I was like, when they show the priest afterwards, after the body is found, and et cetera, I'm like, why is the priest handling the evidence? He shouldn't be touching any of that. Yeah,
It's so real. Movies.
There was a line that they said early on too that was like, faith can be a dangerous thing. And for me, since faith or belief, if you will, is something that I guess follow or at least skirt on the edges with certain things, it's where my interest, the psychology of it, like where people apply their faith and stuff. I'm like, okay, but why? Like I like to adhere some sort of skepticism to certain things to see how they're connecting the dots. It's like, what tools are you using to arrive with this? But, I'm watching like the couple, Brandon and Anna. Sorry,
Taylor.
Mike. Sorry, Taylor.
Tyler. Yeah, Tyler Iskey.
Tyler and Anna. And like, he's moving in with his girlfriend, who his grandparents are very pushy with their Catholicism, which moving in kind of invites sin. So that's their point of view. And it also lives it, because it's kind of pretty much what you believe, or at least if there was like an epitome of thought there, it becomes your reality.
We create our own reality by the rules that we choose to live by.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like belief creates action.
And monsters.
Yes.
Well,
real or not.
Yeah. And I'd love that too, and especially for coming from someone who is hyper religious to what I am now, which is a faithist. I love that. I love that concept, because it's never really been touched before. And it's super brave to take a format that's by the numbers, Like, there's a person, the person's weak, the person gets possessed. There's a battle between good and evil, one of them wins. So when you're actually putting a face to why evil exists, it's a harmony that's not done enough.
It's real. Like, we thought a lot about it. I grew up in an evangelical Christian household. I mean, my folks believed in the rapture. And as things changed for me, I still carry those beliefs in my back pocket. That's not how I feel anymore. I believe in, my faith feels like a lot more broader and more loving than a God that's constantly like trying to crush you back. But I read a lot of literature and fictional literature as a kid that was literally like single sins open you up to everything. And as a kid, you're like, holy crap. I am unsafe no matter what I do. And I liked the balance of the idea of someone who is in love and wants to share that love and grow that love. And I mean, you know, maybe they're going to have a baby. Maybe that continues life and joy and etc. But because of the box that, you know, is kind of around that he is so afraid of, and his grandparents are too, that ultimately it results in not life. So yeah, I'm so pleased. Thanks a bunch. Thanks for watching it with so much generosity. That's super cool.
Well, if you would have made a shitty movie, we would have been talking about how shitty it was. But you're the one who did it, went and made a good movie.
The original Sacrifice with the actress Skylar, it's implied that she's pregnant with
correct.
child.
Yes.
That was something that I thought was really awesome because, and this is going to touch into the symbology of here. You know,
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So
Shut it down.
So, I mean, you see the address of, you know, the priest is writing down the address. You see it on the house, the 615 Crescent. You know, and Crescent is obviously from the moon, which is things that are hidden or could even be a transition, fertility, or even a death or so. So, like, breaking down, like, the numbers itself, like 6 is a motherhood symbol. So I was pulling that from, like, her there. The safeguarding, the house could be its keep. And 1 is the new beginnings. 5 is the spiritual growth. The moon could flip it all on its head, depending if it's like waxing or waning or so.
That's exactly what she was going for.
It's fascinating the amount of bullshit you can come up with.
These are hard symbols.
I'm assuming that is like a legitimate thing for you. You look at numbers a lot and think about that. I did not think about those numbers. Those numbers just came up to me in my head.
And
when
I was
wrote
thinking,
them.
Since you didn't do
Everybody
anything
else
to the
thinks
address,
it
did you?
doesn't mean.
Too.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's awesome.
You should see him when someone tries to give him their phone number. It's fucking madness.
It's like, what does it mean?
But the idea that there's that richness behind those numbers, I mean, come on, you know, you guys know when you're a creator, there's stuff that just floats up to the surface and you just take it like it's nothing, but where that came from has roots in places that you don't ever get to see. So, yeah.
There's a lot of, like, a few authors that I like when they add something, they don't like to reveal what it is because they like to leave it. It's like, is that what that means to you? Like, that's what it is, you know? Like, it's like I think it does more for their stable or status.
The mystery.
Yeah. It's like, wow. It's like, I'm going to keep coming back now. But is there an intention with the feather necklace that Anna's wearing?
I don't think so. My memory of all of that is I gave Megan a sense of what I wanted to see her in, and she chose everything and just brought it to me to like make choices from.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
what did you think it was, Justin?
Well,
obviously,
it goes with her character.
The feather of the Icarus who...
Was it the feather? The Icarus flew.
That's what it was. Well, feathers are like symbols of like ascension or fleeting even. And she was the one who was kind of like putting a little wedge into the commitment or, you know.
She was putting a wedge in the commitment, sure, by not agreeing to marry him, but she was probably the most faithful person in the whole movie.
Yeah,
when shit went down, she was the brick. Even when she was in a chair trying to fend for her life, she was still like, no, what's wrong? What can I do to help you?
She loved him.
She was trying to ascend.
She's trying to ascend. Sure.
Yeah.
Strikes you.
But then it'd also be like, because it's right there on her throat, which is like the Vishuddha, the throat chakra, you know. So it's like she's trying to form words, but it's like, all right, I don't know if I say form words, but it's hard for her to speak. Her love language is more action-y, more touch.
She wants the freedom that love is supposed to bring, right? And for him, that is very hard to understand because love lives inside of traditional rules if it's going to be real.
And has to go into the box. Right on.
Yeah. Yay.
I want to hear more of your stuff, Justin.
Oh.
Because I like I said, when I watched this was a movie right up your alley. Because
You didn't like the hip comedic montage?
I was going to ask about that.
The moving in bit.
You do add you add a lot of humor in this movie, and it's well timed, I think. So sometimes I think when movies of that nature try to add in humor, they fail miserably at it. But I think you added it at the right times,
and the wrong times too.
The wrong times.
Yeah, there's Anna's phone screen. It says like couples who fart together stay together.
Yep.
I was like, what does it mean? That's deep.
Couples who fart together, smart.
But I mean, are you normally? Have you done comedy before?
We did comedy in a web series that Mike wrote and I directed called, I think it was called Inside Out, and it was before the Disney film Inside Out. But he was hilarious in it, and shooting and directing a comedy was a big thing for me, and that was a lot of fun. And so one of the things that we talked about a lot is I was determined to bring Chad and Walter McDowell, the two Catholic priests that are the exorcist catchers, you know what I mean, the demon catchers, into this film, but I knew that they were going to be a comedic tone.
Oh, yeah.
And Chad and I talked a lot about how to weave those two things together so that the tension of the possession would stay there, and we would feel the tragedy and horror of that, but that it would also be okay to laugh when the two priests finally break into the house after he's killed his grandparents, or his grandfather, and they like beat him up with a Bible and are just, it's just crazy.
Or just Chad sitting out in the lawn chair with a big jug, like a big gulp or whatever. Just
You work with Chad a lot, don't?
Chad is like my best friend, my business partner, and like, I don't even know the other side of me that's even cool, that's cooler. He's amazing.
That's for Chad.
Thank you. Here's something too that you guys should know. As filmmakers, one of the decisions that I made for this film was I knew we were working so low budget. They're just micro budgets, that the best way for us to put stuff on the screen was to create as much quirky, whimsical, weird ass shit as possible. And so that's why you guys see like the big gulp cup. You know what I mean? Absurd things like when Tyler starts going crazy and he just starts drinking all that coffee and he threatens that girl with the coffee pot. You know what I mean? Like just some weird stuff, over the top gore for whatever reason. Like at the poker party when that guy like kind of steps to Tyler and Tyler's like knife and it's just like boom.
Eric
Like,
Moyer.
You just killed Eric Moyer. It's like he's okay. He just has a sucking chest wound.
Well,
He'll be fine.
this is my one question I had with that. So Tyler stabbed Eric Moyer, and then they just leave. What was his consequences? I
Well, he
felt like
lost all
somebody.
those chips.
I felt
They said
somebody
that he
would've-
wasn't going to press charges. So
did
yeah. That's what his friend said.
I knew he
came
said
back
he was okay, like he was going to survive, but I was just
His
like,
friend is just lying. to
I was
him.
just like,
His friend has no idea what the fuck's going to
Yeah,
happen.
by the way, what a shitty friend. Like everybody has that friend that is not you at all. Like who's just like, yeah, I'm your best friend. It's like, no, I can't fucking stand you at all. And he was that guy. He's like, yeah, let's do something fun. Like, no.
yeah. Well, and then when he goes to him and he's like pale and something's obviously wrong with him in bed, he's like slapping him and he's like, get up, dickhead, or whatever it is that he said. It's like, yeah, he is
he's
pretty shitty
dying.
friend.
It looks like he has hay fever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just nothing.
Douse him with one.
So I have to ask this too, because my job is more of like the filmmaking part of it. I'm assuming it was part of the movie magic, but the priest, the driveway they were in is our friend Dustin's house.
That's right.
That you did not film in the house across the street,
I did not.
you? So how did you get that shot with the blinds where they're looking out?
Isn't that sweet?
Yes.
I love that so much. We built a frame, had one of those cheap ass louvered blinds that we put up. I don't think we had, I'm trying to remember if we had anything in front of it, like window-like. And then we framed it really carefully. We waited for the perfect time of day, right? That kind of, right? Wasn't it kind of like in that
like a duskish.
golden hour? And then I think that we also had a light. I can't remember if it was a light on the inside of the blinds or not, but then we knew exactly what we were looking for to kind of get that. And I'm super glad, like it worked really well.
It was
Isn't
great.
that
Perfect.
I mean, you did so well with it, because I was, the first time I saw Chad standing across, I'm like, that's Dustin's house. And I'm like, I know that house they're in. I'm pretty sure that's not the house that was across the street from Dustin. And then that shot came and I'm just like, Okay, well, maybe it was. So you fooled me.
I really like that window scene too, because right below it,
Jeez, here we go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
there was the address number 2422,
And
which is an angel number, meaning the beginning of a new era. That means like things changing, angels ushering you to destroy other demonic things. So the high realms have come to set you free from the plans of the devil. And when you live in righteousness all the days of your life, importantly, deny all satanic powers in your life and lineage. That's why he was blunting the incense from his girlfriend, Annie, and calling her a whore for not being married and stuff like that. So, yeah, all that casting out. That's what it means.
I believe
It's
you.
very smart of you to do that.
Thank you very much.
Do you
I
do this to the
appreciate it.
cashiers at the
What's
store when they tell
my-
you your total?
What's my address mean?
Everything.
Means that's where you go when you want to have
We can't.
vegan tacos.
Wow, vegan tacos.
Actually, kind of sounds good.
It does. His wife is a phenomenal cook.
So-
Speak of the devil. I did like that line when, like, after the first virus sign of like coughing, etc., and then not Tyler, his friend. Why am I forgetting names? Yeah, and he comes up and he's talking to Anna, and he's like, "Oh, speak of the devil,"
Yep,
because he's
there he is. The devil is he.
at the 21-minute mark. You know that, Mark.
Nope.
I think you
answer
should
is
tell me
no.
so I
Yes.
can see if you know it.
Was that a cast or like a shout out, a tribute to another one of Megan's characters when she's putting the genie lamp?
Oh my God, it could have been. It wasn't, but it
Damn
could
it!
have been.
I'm gonna edit that. It wasn't out.
Just leave it with, oh my God. Let's talk about Megan for a minute. First of all, I remember Megan from when we were shooting a movie with Dustin called Cheerleader Camp to the Death.
Oh yeah,
I'm right with that, right?
That was a fun movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie. It's one of my favorites of Dustin's. But the thing that I remember loving of hers was when she was in The Eyes of Isabel. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She never has any lines. She's just like wrapped in bandages or something. It's
Right.
like that black and white thing. That's the moment when I realized that woman is an incredible body actress. There are some people that are really good at that. I don't know if you guys ever saw the World War Z with Brad Pitt.
Right.
If you remember that scene where he finds himself in that lab, it's like kind of in the third act, and there's that weird zombie scientist who's doing that weird stuff with his mouth. Like,
Right.
I remember being like, God damn, where do you find people like that? Megan is one of those people. And I was like, if I could just give her something that she could play that felt kind of close to her heart, you know what I mean? So she doesn't have to be like a wholly different person. Whatever she does, she's going to bring awesomeness to it. And I really feel like she did. Like later, I kind of look back and wish, honestly, she's someone that you could take lines away from her and you would get more richness in return.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, that was kind of distracting watching this, knowing people is.
Because you know her. and it's like,
I'm taking credit. I discovered Megan because it was back when Michael. It was back when Michael Laughlin and I were doing the Glam Gore Girls.
Do you want me to get those
Yes.
chips off your shoulder for you?
And we had people contact us, and she was one that contacted, and I met her, and just knowing, like I said, the things she's into now, like the fire breathing and all that stuff that she does, like she was this shy girl when I met her.
and then you introduced him to
then-
the talented man who broke her. Is that what you were saying?
No, but it's just like all of her, not abilities, talents started coming out and stuff. And it was just weird to watch her in this because normally she doesn't have the things I've seen her in. She doesn't really have speaking parts, but in some she does, but there's like not a lot of emotion like there is in this. And I'm watching it and I'm like, my goodness, like this girl, I'm just used to seeing her as like a model and this and that. And she actually brought it and
Right.
was very convincing.
Well, and the way her hair was styled in this movie, and this completely sounds misogynistic, and I apologize. The way her hair was styled and the real lack of makeup she had in this movie, from the chin up, when a lot of those scenes, she looked so innocent.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't tell it was
Like, even despite the
Megan Monster, like at all.
Yeah.
But then in the wider shots, you could see the tattoos and you could see the Megan
Right,
we
right.
know. But from a lot of those tight shots,
And we say that with love when we say the Megan we know.
absolutely, yeah. No, Megan is a great person. She's an amazing performer. She's an amazing actress. She does not get the recognition she deserves. But yeah, she had multiple roles where, well, I can't say roles, but she wore multiple hats in that, where she almost felt like the martyr at times with her innocence. And then she almost felt like that symbolic wedge between the families like you were talking about. And some scenes she seemed like almost like that driving force to be like, don't be you, be different but better kind of a thing. It's what I got from her.
Yeah.
I think there's a definite sense that she wants him to explore the things that she's into.
Right.
She doesn't understand, though, that opening a door like that is not just like, no, I'm not into it, but just more like there's something behind there.
Right.
Yeah, that's terrible.
When you wrote this film and with the demonic possession idea, did you have a specific entity or demon or deity in mind when you were coming up with the possession or the demon or the corruptor? Or was that just something you went with, this is what I want and this is what we're going to do?
Demon possession films are the scariest of films to me.
100%, yeah.
Growing up in a religious household, my mother really believed in the devil. And so I did too. And so even now, even as I wrote this, I feared, am I opening a door? And there was a period of time in writing it where...
You did. It was called success.
Well. So, yeah.
Hey, let it go through.
You let it go all the way through.
You did.
Wait.
But yeah, I had some fears, and there were some things, that would happen where I'd be like, whoa, is that a sign? Oh my God, is this? But when I created the idea of Corruptor, I decided that I wanted it to be kind of like one of those demons that you have a name for, but not like a cool, like sort of biblical angel name. I wanted to kind of create this hidden universe, because here's the thing about me and filmmaking is usually the stories that I write are so like baroque and ornate and complicated. They would be better maybe as novels. And so you can see like that I was kind of creating like there's this whole hidden universe of these demon hunting priests and a phone that rings in like a warehouse that they're like going to be there, and people know what this thing is and they're kind of trying to track it down, but on the DL to the point where they'll just be like waiting outside someone's house. And this is something that I did because I'd read about Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg doing this when they would do their films. The first thing that they would do is mock up a poster, and then they write fake reviews. And from there, they jump off and go, okay, it kind of helps them see like the overview maybe of what an audience would like. And I had found like when I was trying to write the DVD liner notes for Blood Rights, I felt like I was able to encapsulate so much better what that film conceivably could have been. So this was the first time where I was like, I made a poster right away. I was like, this is what it's going to look like. I was like, this is what it's going to be called because I think it's a cool name and it's going to sell. And when we sold Wake the Witch to Netflix, the guy who was our distributor was like, do you mind if we change it to Awaken the Witch, because A's in video on demand get picked quicker because you're just going through that as the first letter. And I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. So this time I was like, go with a C, you know what I mean? I'll call it Corruptor.
That's actually smart. You don't really think about that.
They'll skip to the page or two and, okay, that sounds good.
Right.
The logistics of filmmaking that people don't think of, that's very important.
All my movies are going to start with 0 now.
Right?
And 0 means what, Justin?
It means the absence of something, or it can mean everything because it's like a circle. It's a whole unit. It's connected. It means everlasting.
It's like an egg. Something could be born forth from it.
It's like a circle.
Or it's the amount of people who fucking can stand Justin's symbolism.
I like that.
Nice.
Thank you guys for passing it my way.
Yes.
Does the name Giles Corey mean anything to you?
It doesn't.
Giles Corey, Giles, whatever.
Giles.
I bet you're going to tell us.
Yes. Well, I did a little bit of research.
He just flipped everyone in the room off. That's what you need to know.
It was putting my glasses up. That's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I did a little bit of research of a guy named Giles Corey and the Salem witch trials.
Okay.
And supposedly, so when Anna checks her phone, it's September 18th. The next day, September 19th, is when all the shit goes down, I would imagine, because it kind of follows that. This is like a 3-day event or so.
Right.
So Giles Corey, he was tormented for 3 days in the Salem witch trials area, and he died like that next day, if memory serves me correct. But I thought that was kind of since it's kind of going on the line of like the witchery, well, kind of, it is, ish, but with demonic, I pieced that together. Giles Corey, you did that?
No, listen, I did a lot of research on demon possession before this because I didn't want to watch a whole lot of films because I didn't want their style or their direction to color what I was wanting to do. But I also read a lot about all of those things, Salem Witch Trials included.
Boom.
So, yeah.
Right on. I get a point.
Nice work.
That's my
So I'm
point.
going to ask this about Mike Crawford. How much did he drink throughout this whole production? Because I felt like he was always drinking on camera.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And was that actual coffee that he was chugging?
It was actual coffee.
Oh my gosh.
Like if you guys have ever done a scene where a whole lot of something needs to like show up on screen, you know how complicated it is, especially in a micro budget situation where maybe you have like a crew of maybe 5. We were stockpiling coffee probably the entire week before that particular shoot. And of course, a lot of it needed to be cold. You can't ask your actor to drink burning hot coffee like right out of the percolator. So yeah, he was actually doing that. I don't know why we're still friends because he should hate me after that movie.
Wow. I see. I thought it was like going to be like Coke or something like that. Just something that looked like coffee, but if it was real coffee and it was cold, more power to him. That's.
I'm a big fan of like, do you guys ever see the Muppets Take New York?
Absolutely.
Well, there's a scene where the Muppet rats are ice skating on, or they're using pats of butter to skate across a hot griddle in the restaurant. This is the important part of this. The production crew was like, obviously we can't use butter. They tried a million things. What worked best? Fucking butter.
They wasted so much time.
Just go with what it is. That's my theory. I mean, unless you're talking about blood. Okay.
One of my qualms, I guess, with this piece is probably Patrick Lambert's character, Father Shaw.
I was just going to bring him up.
Yeah. He's most times when he was on screen, I was like, why is he doing that? Like when he knows he has people watching the house, but he doesn't notify them that he's going to be going in there, or when he shows up unexpectedly, he's like, let me in the house, in so many words.
You got to think about it from the possession and the religious possession.
Just be a responsible
aspect
Catholic
of things. Well, just like demons in real life, quote unquote, they cannot abuse power. It's deemed as a vulgar display of power.
No, they can. They're making all the
they're
batteries.
Not supposed to.
The appliances were working without batteries.
They're not supposed to.
Peacocking.
Oh.
But so in essence, a priest or an exorcist, they have a vanity to them. They're still part of the church, and it's still vanity and pride is still a sin. So they're not going to want to bust in the door and be like, I'm here to save the day. Well, no, they need definitive proof. They need to know they're fighting evil and not, like you said earlier, is he just going crazy? Because how big of a dick would you feel busting down the door and he's like, no, I'm faking it.
This man needs to be in a mental institution. One of our thoughts is that priest was so broken by the fact that he had let the bride's character slip through his fingers and Corruptor let her kill herself and her child.
He's chasing the same demon.
Exactly. He feels personally responsible to the point that he stopped thinking about anyone else that's quote unquote on his team. He has to be the one.
He's got a mission.
Well, it's a very much Father Karras vibe from The Exorcist. Yeah. That long battle between good and evil that's going to progress until one loses.
Did you write the Father Shaw part specifically with Patrick in mind? Because I feel like you did.
I did. You're absolutely right. I loved working with Patrick, and I'd seen him in like a King Lear at one of the Shakespeare theaters in Lincoln, and was like, I got to work with that guy.
Well, I don't think anybody else could have played that part. I think he was perfect for it. And, I feel like I've seen him in many things and he's always playing a priest or
he has
something.
An earnestness to him.
He does. He does.
And I know he can act around it if he wants to, but it is a good default for him.
Well, it definitely, and I did, especially at the end, I got a lot of Exorcist vibes from it when it transferred over and stuff.
And it's so hard because that's the pinnacle of possession movies is The Exorcist. Well, that and Rosemary's Baby and stuff like that. So what you see is like, oh, that reminds me of The Exorcist, or that's an Exorcist throwback. It's not. It's what started it. So what you think is original, William Peter Blatty had his hand in that and pushed it forward, and what he got it from probably Sumerian rituals and into Catholic rituals into. So
I do like how the demon was at least respectful. Like,
Came to give his exit interview.
yeah. Oh, I mean, towards the end, after it like possesses Chad's character, you know, he was at least polite enough to take things outside before it escalated. And then, like, even after it escalated, you don't get to see it. So it was kind of a quick finish. It's just cut straight to a fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah.
A straight jacket, but
A fat guy in a little coat.
what's happening, Richard?
I love myself jacket.
So, as a writer and filmmaker myself, I know when you write something, you have it envisioned in your head as you're writing it, you know, the sets and everything. Was your vision when you were writing pretty much the end results, or was it changed at all for you? Like, you know, because of casting issues or location issues, how close to the writing was the finished product?
I don't know about you guys, but when I write a script, boy, I imagine it being acted in a way that is completely real and believable, surrounded by all of the elements that you would need to make that happen. But when I come to a script as a director and a producer, I recognize that the resources that I have available to me are maybe not going to make that happen the way it happens in my head. You know what I mean? Like, we ingest so many movies these days that honestly, sometimes I just dream in movie. And when you imagine something, you're seeing a fucking 360 color, super close-ups when you need it, wides, everything's perfect. And yeah, man, I just don't have that resource package available. So it's true that once it was done, then I had to sit down and go, okay, given a resource package that I know I can get without killing myself, what could this look like? And that's when you start looking at places like, you know, the house that Tyler and Anna live in. That's a house that we rented for a month for the shoot so that we could set it all up and blah, blah. And I knew that I needed that space like 100%. That can't be someone's house. That can't be anything like that. But, you know, what could we afford? That house was fine, but there were a lot of things about it that I wish had been different. Like maybe it wouldn't have been on like a major thoroughfare in Lincoln where I had to deal with that. Or same thing, I got really lucky with a lot of my actors, but there are some actors, and I feel like that this is maybe both a flaw as a director and a producer is my grandfather character. Ultimately, I ended up begging a friend of mine who's a photographer to play that role, John Spence. What a gift that he would show up and be a part of that. If maybe, I mean, it's been several years since we did that. Now I might be in a scenario where maybe I would try and write that character out. You know what I mean? But him being there was really powerful for me, but I also know that he is not an actor. I gave him lines that I heard in my head, but, you know, what could he really do with those? And that is, when I think about Corruptor, there are a lot of things that I love about it, a lot of whimsical and also beautifully terrifying. Like when I think about the scene in the basement between Anna and Tyler, just like, damn. But when I think about that very end between the grandparents, I'm always like, oh, God damn it.
Must have been a late shoot. Just wrap it up. Let's go.
No, just like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It helps itself out. It carries us with, like, I guess, not that it's supposed to be a comedic thing, but the way that Chad and the other guy, Walter, they finish it off. I'm like, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It dips and then it comes back a little bit. Yeah. That worked out good. And I think, Garrett's score maybe helped smooth some of like the awkwardness over. So.
How many clumsy, successful possessions have they exercised?
Those guys, like, they're veterans. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why they're both kind of fucked up.
Chad did have my favorite line.
What was it?
I missed the beeps.
It's so good. Oh, man. Oh, God. Sorry. There was something that you said earlier that I wanted to address in relation to. Oh, now I fucking forgot it. Anyway, sorry. Please continue. Cut that part out.
That happens a lot with Justin.
It's amazing.
We just fall asleep. He wakes us up when he's done.
We're doing brain to brain. Yeah. The way I see, like, Corruptor is like a movie about how people and things become different, like evil even, that those who are raised with certain beliefs, because the idea is introduced, they have the potential to become the extreme of those teachings, whether it be for perceived good, like grandma and grandpa, or for the bad, such as in Tyler's case. The corruption then leads to things, take technology for an example. The sage or incense is a net positive for cleansing and creating and inviting space, or deemed as evil because it doesn't meet outdated teachings, or how demons are calling on the phone like in the boss's office. That's why beepers are better than cell phones. Miss the beeps. So there we go.
I did think it was fantastic.
Thank you.
When he kept checking his flip phone. Nope. Not there.
I love that.
Has he contacted yet? Nope. Because he's just looking at the numbers.
Also, with Andrea Erickson's character, that was coffee that came straight out of the pot. She should have been like scolding, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she should have been.
And then
yeah.
she would have told the boss immediately, but she didn't say anything. And I was like, well, she's kind of cool then if she's not going to be running and telling this time.
I think it's just a work shortage.
Yeah. It's like, the dude was got shit canned right there.
So intimidated.
Or why the grandparents, they don't call the authorities before they enter the basement. It's like, well, then again, it's Catholicism. They usually don't contact the rightful authorities, right?
It was in 2016. It was a more innocent time,
I don't know about that.
No, it wasn't. But I do think that there are a lot of times where people are like, I don't want to take this to a place because it's a loved one. Surely we can fix this among the family.
Right.
Can't we?
She's a very forward grandmother, so yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah.
What I really liked about the beautiful time lapses, I really loved those. Those were amazing. Starting off, it definitely sets the pace for it. It's like, wow, that's cool. You guys actually stayed there the whole time watching everything? And
One of my favorite ones is when Patrick is asleep in the car and the phone rings, right? Isn't that right? And don't we get we're pulling out of the phone booth, which at the time was the last payphone booth in Lincoln, gone now.
Oh, no.
Slowly, pulling out of it. We were there at 5 a.m. We wanted to get that dawn scenario. And then suddenly, whatever, the sun is up.
Immortalize that phone booth.
See, that's what I love about guerrilla filmmaking and micro budget filmmaking is you have to put in the work. You have to go out and make it happen. There's no sound studio that you can morph to make it look like morning or night or get that golden hour. You have to put in the hours and put in the work. And I don't think a lot of young directors or new people to Hollywood or even veterans anymore, they don't appreciate that. They don't understand how hard that is when you get 14 minutes of perfect light, and then if you don't get it, you're screwed. And hurting actors is like hurting cats.
I think I fall into that herd where, part of me, I would love to capture the most real and raw, but I do kind of depend on, we'll fix it in post,
You have to pick your moments. And that's definitely what I had learned. That's one of the reasons that often as a producer, I'll be like, fuck it, it's just going to take too long. All right, we're not going to do it, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do day for night, which of course is always bullshit. Right. But these were instances where I was like, we are putting in the time for this. That is happening.
Memorize it backwards.
It's going to cut corners on everything else.
Yeah.
It shows an appreciation for the project you're on. You're not forcing out a piece of media to make money or because you're on a deadline. You have a passion for it when you sacrifice your time and your company's time and your actor and actress's time when you're like, we're going to do this and it's going to be perfect and you're going to appreciate it rather than we're going to fuck it up and make it look as good as possible. No, you're going to work your ass off to make it look right, which I appreciate.
See, and I can't wait because, we have you for this podcast, but we're also going to have you on our other podcast we do. And I cannot wait to talk more filmmaking with you there because just hearing some of the things you're saying here, I'm like, oh man, I always felt like you have similarities, and I've always thought, I think I'm the only one in this boat that feels this way. But hearing you say some of these things, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. So,
and as a writer and someone who loves actual literature and novels, I'm excited to have someone I can talk with about books because these two are they're awful. It makes me so sad when I'm like, oh, but the novel did this and it was so great. And they're like, there was a novel?
The book was better.
I just can't get into reading. My mind is constantly creating that when I'm reading.
That would make you the perfect reader.
I'm reading the words, but my mind is thinking of other things
It only takes you a moment to get into that zone. You got to train your brain. Brains are stupid sometimes, but you got to train them.
I know, but I can't do it. I read a whole book once and I couldn't tell you anything because my mind was constantly.
See Jack run. Jack run fast. Fast, fast, fast.
You know how many books I can recite to you right now? Probably at least 30 because I have to read them to my son every fucking day.
Oh, I bet.
So
There is a segment that I do want to introduce to the movie review podcast, and I'll start this
you're
one
not
off.
going to bring it by us? You're
yeah,
not
No, not yet.
he's
I am. I'm
This is how
introducing it.
every segment.
We're doing it live.
This is the moment.
Do it
So,
live.
Towards the end of the movie review podcast, I'm going to start introducing your favorite, least favorites. So the comments that people say, and there's not too many comments about the Corruptor 2017's. Corruptor. Yeah.
what is happening? I don't have headphones, so I don't know what you just played.
He just did the dun dun dun, and then he pretended like he was cool and went, Corruptor.
And then I was also
Sounds
like,
just like me. So the only bad comment I can find about this was all drama, no horror. I didn't get
2
the
out of
name.
10.
Yeah. It was a 2 out of 10. Yeah. So yeah.
Let me tell you a great comment that we got on Wake the Witch was my first horror movie. And someone wrote, it's shot in all these welfare houses, which one of those houses was my house. And I remember being like,
Ouch.
my whole theory with shit comments has been like, thanks so much for watching it. Yeah. All right. Thumbs up. You know, you paid 99 cents or however much it was to
Welfare
watch
house. It's like I'm a minimalist.
This is what the middle class looks like. I don't know. Okay, maybe lower middle class, but whatever.
That's one of my favorite ways to respond to people. Like, your show sucks. I'm like, thank you for listening.
Yes, I appreciate you so much right now.
I appreciate your support. We all do.
Go to Zazzle.com.
Zazzle.com. Buy your-
I'm disappointed that there are no more comments about it. That makes me feel like I need to like take out an ad on Facebook and be like, watch this movie.
Well, when we broadcast this to our 17 listeners,
You might get one.
one might.
Calm down. Calm down.
That pleases me greatly.
Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with about the Corruptor movie? Like where they can see it?
Where they can purchase it first and
Yes.
then watch it for free.
What a good call that is, Lonnie. Yeah, you can definitely watch it on Amazon. It's also on Vudu. You can watch it also on Tubi with ads.
I watched it on TV.
Who does that?
There'll be a
shit?
link in the description of this podcast.
Oh, super cool.
But yeah, it's something that you're going to want to check out, especially if you like possession type movies. And it was all shot in Lincoln, correct?
That
Lincoln,
is correct.
Nebraska.
Yep.
So, and I was going to ask you that out here in Omaha, I think one of the hardest things is finding locations. You have all these people that say, oh, you can use their place. And then you talk to them and you tell them what the project is. And then they're just like, they change their mind about it. Is Lincoln much different? Is it easier to find things? I know you said you rented out that house, but is it easy for even other projects of yours to find locations, or is that a nightmare for you?
It's funny, isn't it? I feel like with horror, people are often like, ooh,
Yeah.
no. You know, if you're somebody who's making like, I'm making a drama, everyone's like, oh my God, please come shoot in my fancy $1 million mansion. I would
Anybody
love that.
I know who's going to be in it?
But here's the weird thing is Omaha, I drive around and I just see exterior location. Like you guys have so much cool, individual, unique, quirky stores and blah, blah, blah buildings that you could shoot near and outside of. Interiors, I think, are the biggest problem.
Yeah.
And that is why, a house rental like that and something that we could afford. That was a friend of a friend that hooked us up. And locations, I always find are difficult. Man, sometimes I would just be like, if I had a location that was super rad, I would literally just write something that we could shoot there so that we could use it. Mm-hmm. That's
Right.
how rare it
Especially
feels to me.
for horror, it's definitely harder with using blood and stuff. Then you have like a director who's intentionally trying to put blood on people's carpets and shit.
Hey, that was
It's you're not lying. Like just the cleanup alone, like the Eric Moyer dying in that kitchen, you know, the fact that was
was a
Mike
lot.
Crawford's actual house, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to clean this up. But I've also been in
After how many precautions you take to make sure it's all right there and it goes outside of your
and then
area,
someone
your range.
tracks it somewhere, and you're like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
God.
The very first thing I worked on with Justin, this guy was nice enough to let us film at his place. Didn't see the set until we got there that day. All white. Carpets white, walls white, beds white. We put trash bags everywhere. Blood shot out. The one spot where there was a gap between the plastic and the sheet is where the blood got. And then I put
backup
rugs
carpet.
down everywhere for people to walk on. And of course, somebody got blood on the bottom of their foot,
Yep.
walked off of it. So I just left, I left one of the rugs there. I didn't want to tell the owner. So I just left it there. And then he came around. He's like, you forgot this. It's like, oh man. But yeah, you aren't lying when you tell them it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people where it's like, I have to tell everybody everything that's happening. I'm not going to lie to them because I don't want them to be like, oh, well, you didn't tell me you were going to do this. It's like, you're going to know everything that's happening. So especially if there's a lot of blood, then they're just like, I don't know about this. So.
See, that's why with my movie that's in post-production now, I said it was a drama, and then I snuck a horror film in it.
Well, that's the thing. We can't promote it as a horror film because that's the twist.
Twist.
Somebody knows about it. Don't put a name to it.
Now I feel like 17 people are going to know about that.
Yeah.
Please.
Edit it out.
All my other YouTube videos have 2 viewers, me and my mom.
So, Lonnie, you got the next pick.
I do have the next pick. I had 2 movies in mind I wanted to do. The one I originally wanted to do is a great film, but I don't think it will transfer well into a movie review because it's basically just a movie about audio. But everybody's out there. If you've never seen the Barbarian Sound Studio, please go see it. It's on Paramount Plus. It's on AMC movie service. It's fantastic. But I'm having so much fun with Justin's descriptions and finding meaning in everything.
I'm glad one of us is.
Yeah, no, I'm having such a blast with it that my movie pick
Why am I nervous
for my next episode is going to be 1990s Begotten.
Begotten?
1990.
Do I got to write that down?
I'm writing it down because I always ask, what was the movie again?
Yeah, dummy.
You can watch it on YouTube for free. We're going to announce the movie, and me and you are going to slip back, and we're going to let Justin talk about it for the whole episode.
So we don't need to be here for it. He can just tell it to himself.
So bring chips in a blankie.
Oh, man.
Get your butchie blankie.
My butchie blankie. There's nothing wrong with that.
Boom.
Oh.
Well, that was an awesome movie review.
Yes.
Thank you for offering that up. Thank you for coming on the
thank you.
podcast.
It was so my
you.
pleasure to be here. Yeah,
And we're going to have you stick around.
Why do you say
for
it like
our
that?
next one.
because it was awesome.
Do you have anything else in the works right now?
Wow, do I have anything else in the works? I'm working on a new novel, and then I want to shoot a weird ninja short this summer.
I know a good ninja for you right across from you. This guy is all about that stuff.
Well, if you ever shoot something that you need a 5'8" chubby Jew in, I know one.
What if that person is tattooed? Do you know anyone that's heavily tattooed?
Might be able to find someone.
Oh,
If you need somebody with severe burns on their feet.
I like that.
It's not a Tarantino film.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. There will be more in 2 weeks. You can catch all the extra details with the happenings of our good friend Dorothy Borum. Tune in. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
This concludes our broadcast day.